Welcome to another episode on the Move, Talk, Thrive podcast. Today, we are unpacking the national and state awards for health employees and leave entitlements. This can be a really tricky space to navigate as a business owner, and we see it as a responsibility for both an employer and an employee to understand. So, we thought a really good topic for us to cover. So let's get stuck in and really look at what the award entails and unpack the leave entitlements and different leaves that everyone can take as employees.
We are child development obsessed business besties and mums, and we're here to spill all our secrets.
We have a combined 30 years experience working with children, and each episode we will bring you up-to-date research and evidence-based strategies to set your children up to thrive.
I'm Lizzy Dawson, Australian exercise physiologist.
I'm Emily Mackey, Australian speech pathologist.
And this is the Move, Talk, Thrive podcast.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. I would like to put in a leave request for a Europe holiday, please.
Yep. Greece,
Yes, great.
Croatia,
Yes. How good? How good?
the UK. I would like to put a leave request in for Bali
Yeah.
for 3 weeks in July.
Tick, tick, tick. Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I feel like it's something that, I mean, how long have I been in business? 15 years. And admittedly, like I've only really just done like I've increased employment arrangements in my business. So I feel like it's something that I'm kind of reacquainting myself with because I've got more people on employment contracts. So it's just like so much to navigate, to be honest.
Yeah. So we're talking about employees. So if you're on a salary, set salary, and you're under a contract, obviously if you're a sole trader or have your own business, it's going to be different for you. And just bear in mind that we're not HR specialists or professionals. We are not lawyers. We are just going to share our experience really and just what we understand and what we use in our businesses. But there is a lot to navigate. And I remember when at uni, I got told nothing about salary, contracts, awards, anything to do with
They do
HR.
now. I feel like they do now because my Kids Up Pilates team we were kind of talking about it in open conversation, which I thought was really good.
That
We
is
have an open discussion about it.
good vulnerability, good conflict.
Yeah.
But I don't think speechies do. If you're a speechie and you're listening and you're a new grad or you're in uni and you've been told about what award you should be paid under or anything to do with that, please DM and tell me. But there's a few different things. So we want to just like chat about that because we both knew nothing. And we both have spoken about in this podcast that education is key to being empowered. We have to educate and empower our parents. We need to educate and empower ourselves about one of the most important things that gives us lifestyle, our money and our
And our
salaries.
worth, right? Like it's our worth. And I think
Financially.
In order to be able to negotiate and sign contracts confidently, we need to understand them. And a big part of an employment contract is the award that you're falling under and the entitlements of that award. And I think it can be quite overwhelming. And even in the case that there is multiple awards. So I use the national award, you use the state award. I found our state award really confusing. And I just looked at it in the lead up to this podcast and I was like, oh, this is why I didn't use this because this is like yucky. I don't like it. But yeah, it's like a big one to navigate, isn't it?
Yeah. And how else are you supposed to learn? You have to, well, in business, you and I learnt probably like the hard way, I'd say, because we actually had employees and we were going, oh my gosh, okay, we need to figure out how to pay these people, make sure we're doing the right thing. But if you're an employee, are you really going to research? Are you really going to have a look? Are you going to get told? Where do you get your information from? How do you know it's legit? Yada, yada, yada. So there are a few different companies that, can provide you information. So, have a chat to governing bodies, so SPA and ESSA, if they have contacts that they recommend under them to talk to for HR matters, contract matters like legal matters, also insurances as well. Yeah. So just, we always go back to our governing bodies for those things. But as Lizzie mentioned, so there's two types of awards. So you've got the Fair Work Ombudsman, which we'll put a link to this health service award in the chat, in the show notes. So that is a federal or national award, like that governs all allied health professionals in Australia. And then there's also then a state award per state. So in New South Wales, that is called the New South Wales Health Service or State Award. What's it called in Queensland, Lizzie?
What did I say it was called? Oh, the Health
Industrial.
Practitioners Award.
Health.
No, that was the Industrial Relations Act, and it's the Health Practitioners Award. But don't quote me on that. It's just something that I looked at in the lead up to this. It's not what I use, but when I did find it, I was like, this looks familiar. This is confusing. I will go with the national one.
Yeah. So, I mean, the New South Wales one is pretty easy to navigate. And again, I'm like, why do they make it different for each state and make it difficult? I don't get it.
So
I
confused.
don't get it. But the main thing was like, so this is just through me learning in business, right? I didn't know that there were two awards. And I didn't know that both of the awards varied really significantly in salary and wages. And so I've always been like, well, what do I do? Do I pay the Fair Work Ombudsman Award? Do I pay the state award? Because both awards say you should follow them. But this is for New South Wales, that they're both really different with wages. So anyway, so we've always just gone the New South Wales State Award because that was higher in wages, and then we pay above that because, in New South Wales we have to be competitive, I guess, with our salaries. You would be the same, Lizzie, that principle of being competitive and paying people good wages.
It's just gone. I feel like it's stepped up
Yeah.
considerably in the last 5 years.
Yeah. Yes, it has. Yes, with NDIS.
Mm.
And that's another whole nother discussion itself. But but yeah, so I guess it's just being aware that there's two awards per state. And if you're looking for a job, you need to look at what award are they paying under and then educate yourself on that award. And if you are then an employer or a sole trader, you need to then look at which award am I going to pay under and be across it to make sure that you're then giving the right information to your employees. Or if you're a sole trader, doing the right things for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Um,
think understanding the entitlements of the award from, I don't know, leave, like all the sorts of different leave that you can take and be paid for and accrue. So you accrue the leave, you're not just given. And I think we were talking earlier about leave and how we both thought that when you were full time, you just got the 4 weeks, but you actually accrue that.
yes, that's annual leave. Yes, yes. You have to work to accrue your leave.
You accrue sick leave too.
Yes, you do. Yeah, leave is accrued. All of your leave is accrued. So even though it says you get 4 weeks on your contract, the day you start working doesn't mean you're entitled to 4 weeks. You're entitled to zero. And then as you work, your pay slip should show how much you're accruing for sick leave and annual leave, and also carers leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's loads. The reason why you need to know your award, like what Lizzie said, is there is entitlements, but there's so much information there. So if you have a question about part-time work, full-time work, pay time in lieu, casual work, it's all there. It's all in the award. So often that's our first point of contact. We have all these questions and we go, how do we know? Check your award.
And things should be detailed in your contract as well. Level that you're on,
Yes.
overtime,
Yes.
all of the things. But the award is your safeguard, right? As an
Yeah.
employee.
And then it should say on your contract you are paid under which award, and it says that. And
Yeah.
it's very clear. And so one of the important ones that we'll talk about at the start is leave entitlements, right? Like everyone looks forward to their holidays. Holidays are how we recharge. We always talk about that on our potty, don't we? You need to take time out for yourself.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. And I mean, it's so important from that perspective. It's also really important from a business perspective. And this might sound really bad, but you don't really want people accruing lots and lots of leave. Like you want them taking lots of breaks throughout the year because one, it is good for us to recharge, but from
Mm.
a business perspective, it's also important, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
is do you have some policies around leave, like how people are taking leave?
Not specifically in terms of how often they need to take it or how
Yeah.
many hours they can accrue. No. But we do have, some recommendations with people. You do need to be having a regular break. And if we see anyone in our business that it hasn't happened for a very long time, but if we see anyone in our business that has had a very challenging time, we say, like, this is what your annual leave is for, to help you
Yeah.
recharge, like, have a break.
Yeah.
This is what it's for. And even in that, I never understood that. I always just thought my annual leave, I would just take it for a massive holiday. I never
Yeah.
had the approach that, oh, I'm just going to take this one day this week for mental health day. And I wish I knew that. I wish someone just told me that your
How do
annual
you
leave is
do that?
there. No one told me that. I just had
Yeah.
such a limited understanding. I wish I knew, okay, like you should take one day here to have a break and go do something for yourself to help you recharge. As much as holidays are so important, for me, it's always going overseas or something like that. We do also need to look after ourselves, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So most people should be entitled to not should be, they are entitled to 4 weeks if you work full time. Like we said, you accrue it, and that's annual leave, and that's over both awards. If you if you work part-time, it will accrue at a slower rate as well. So just bear that in mind. We
Yeah, I think
mentioned
that accrual thing is something that maybe is not like super obvious.
no, it's not obvious unless someone tells you, right? And sits down with you.
Yeah.
We mentioned before that you have sick leave. So actually, sick leave in the award is called personal/slash carers leave.
Is it? I didn't even know.
Yeah, it's not called sick leave. And I found this so confusing in the award. And then my girls would get confused because I would say sick leave, and then they look and there's no sick leave in the award. So it's actually personal leave. That's what they call it. And they also class it under carers leave. So that's if you're sick, you get 10 days per year, and that's accruing progressively as well, like your annual leave. But it can also be used for caring for immediate family or household members. So that would be if you're a mum and your child's sick, you need to take personal/slash carers leave.
Geez, 10 days isn't a lot, is it?
No, it's not. And this is like where there's a big struggle with mums in the industry, I would say most jobs.
Mm.
But it's for personal illness as well. So that's personal carers leave is sick leave. You then get compassionate leave, which is 2 days per the occasion of a death or life-threatening injury or illness of an immediate family member who lives with you. So that's also something that I had no idea about. I remember someone passed away and I took it as annual leave that I was their immediate family member, and I probably should have taken it as compassionate leave. Anyway, doesn't matter, but
Is that, I feel like I looked that up last year and it included like grandparents. It doesn't?
it says immediate family or household members. So,
Huh.
I mean, in our workplace, though, if it was a grandparent, we'd give it to someone because,
Yeah.
we're just we just agree with that. That's fine. And this is the thing, like your employer can do that if they want.
Yeah. And so I think it's important to one, understand it,
Mm,
and two, have a conversation, like transparent conversation, which is, then comes back to our culture piece, which is, have that psychological safety so people feel comfortable, definitely in times where they're burnt out or there's, a death in the family or whatnot.
yeah.
Um, but I think having that knowledge and then having that safety is the combination of the two, right?
Mm. I mean, it's also understanding it because say your parent died, under your award, you only get 2 days
Yeah.
off. So you like if that was your parent, you would need probably like a week, 2 weeks, maybe longer. And I think that when you're in those emotional situations, it's really difficult to think clearly, and you're not supposed to be thinking about these types of things. So knowing this beforehand takes that extra stress off at the time, but it's also going to be a very big negotiation with your employer of how you manage that. Because 2 days is not a long time if it's something major. Just to think about.
Yeah. And then I guess, from a business perspective, it's so like it is very, I find it quite hard to manage from a business perspective. I am now, which I feel quite happy that I'm doing, but I work out what is in terms of hours is accrued each week in leave, and I put that into a separate bank account. Do you do the same? I feel like I might have got that from you.
Yeah, yeah. We make sure that we are financially safe and we have the money there to pay people.
So I think that's quite important for people that are, owning a business or looking to to step into that direction, and that's something that I have only done probably this calendar year, and I definitely feel much better about it now.
Yeah, you have, as a business owner, you have to be responsible with your finances, right? You have to prepare for any situation. You've just had a cyclone, we had floods. You've got to be prepared for anything. And I mean, we won't get into it too specifically, but lots of business owners say you need to have 3 times the amount of wages that you would pay on a period still saved in your bank account to cover an emergency funds and all that. There's lots of books you can read on it, but we have to be responsible as employers and even a sole trader to be able to cover yourself. So you're not at
Totally.
a
Like if
detriment.
you're working as an independent, you are not going to be getting sick leave, not going to be getting holiday leave. You will be getting paid more, so which covers those. You don't get paid for public holidays, which employees do. And yeah, so you need to put some of that extra that you are getting paid into, it's a great preparation for running your own business because you are essentially running your own business
You
for
are.
yourself. You are. So it's about, yeah, it's about setting yourself up. And when you've got employees and you've got a larger business, you just do it on a larger scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Habits is key, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You also have other things in your award, which is like parental leave, obviously, if you're having a baby, long service leave if you work after 10 years, public holidays. So if you don't work, you generally, like most clinics close down, but you are entitled to be paid on a public holiday. And, there's family and domestic violence leave, there's community service leave. So you can go through and read all those different types of leave in your award, and your contract should have these as well. With the maternity leave, it also tells you, how long they can hold your position for, and and a few different things like that. So it's important that you're across that and you know where you stand, right? The main thing though is that in across all of these awards, these 2 awards, it doesn't talk about unpaid leave. And I feel
Mm.
like unpaid leave is a big thing in workplaces. And even for myself, when I worked at a community health job before I had my business, again, I was very uneducated about this stuff. But I just had the mindset like, oh, well, I'll just take unpaid leave if I want to go on a holiday and I don't have enough leave because it doesn't affect the business. Like they're not paying me. And so it should be sweet. And I remember I sort of had that mindset for the first 1 or 2 years in my business, like having speak about. And then financially, it started to get really, really tight, and I couldn't figure out why. Then my accountant, after a period of time, said, you're approving too much unpaid leave because you've got all these bills. Just because someone's not working, yeah, you're not paying them, but your bills still keep coming in. And so we have had to really work through that, speak about. And I don't know if we've got it 100% correct. You always just do with what you do your best with the information that you've got in front of you and your experience. But we've really had to look at, okay, what can we do for unpaid leave in our company, which is not a lot. We're really restricted because we're a small family business. What do you think, Lizzie?
Well, I'm probably in the earlier stages than you because I've got independence at Northside, so I don't have to worry about it too much. And then Kids Hut Pilates is it, yeah, that my structure at Kids Hut Pilates has only been operating in that way for a year and a half. So I have approved unpaid leave. And at the time, I was like, sweet, I don't want to have an extra salary because it was over Christmas time. And I have approved another one, but it's something that I'm like, right, I need to just have a minute and make sure that I'm making the best decision for the business because at the end of the day, my responsibility is for everyone in that business and to continue thriving financially so that I can keep paying everyone in the business because my job as a business owner is to pay people and employ people.
Mm.
So that's my responsibility. So I think it's definitely something that, yeah, it's good to be even having this conversation because I feel like I have probably said yes without too much thought and organization. And essentially what that does is it means that the culture of the business, the expectations change. But I think something that, yeah, I think just landing on what works for the business. In one particular instance that's coming up, I've approved some unpaid leave, which is a little bit longer, but what it means is that I can recruit for someone to fill that position, and then I can put a growth strategy in place so that we can grow the business as part of that. So it's quite calculated. So I think that it's definitely something that needs to be considered rather than just a reactive, oh yeah, that sounds good because I don't have to pay their wage.
Yeah, and that's what my response was in the early days as well. But you still have admin, and admin is such an important role for allied health professionals to support them. And they need to be paid. And so the way that they're paid is through clients being seen. And if clients aren't being seen, it's like, well, where's the money to pay the admin wages? So that's just one example. But there are other bills that come in. Rent is always going like a weekly thing, or a mortgage if you own your commercial property.
Rent,
But yeah.
insurance, operating costs,
There's so much. There's so many. We should
there's
do another episode on all the hidden costs because that's also something that you and I both had no idea about and didn't understand. But so I think like you've got to like if you want to do unpaid leave, I think there's a few things you need to think about, which is one, why do I need unpaid leave? So if you're thinking I need unpaid leave because I'm burnt out, because I'm stressed, because I need a mental health day, then you need to be looking at your workplace, not going, I'm going to use unpaid leave to put as a band-aid over this because your workplace should be a place where you love to go. Not all the time, because we have up and downs, but you are feeling supported and you are feeling like it is a good, manageable space for you to work. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to consider the type of workplace that you're in. So me and Lizzie, we both have small businesses. So a small business is going to need to have tighter policies on unpaid leave versus maybe a big corporate national organization. So they might be able to have more lenient unpaid leave policies. But again, if you're feeling stressed out in those corporations and you need an unpaid leave day for mental health, you need to look at you need to look at your work environment, right? But it's if you are someone that you think, I need to take, I don't know, more than 4 weeks worth of leave. Like I need to take 3 months off every year, which it might be because you're a mum and you've got kids, like there's lots of different situations. Then you may need to look at which workplace is better for you. Obviously, having upfront discussions when you take a job about unpaid leave. But, again, we don't own big organizations, so we can't speak on behalf of them. But we do know in a small family run business that would probably be impossible, if not really, really difficult to do if you see clients. But there are other ways that you can bring money into the company. and it's being open to that. So me and Lizzie, we have our online courses, we do online mentoring, we do coaching online. So there are other ways that you can bring in income, but you're going to have to be creative and willing to negotiate with the business owner about that because that's just it's small business.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's a whole nother piece there on like resilience, right? Business resilience, financial resilience, which I think is really important to be offering different services and products so that you are resilient. That's something that I feel like with Kids Hut Pilates in particular, have bounced around from, privately paying to government grants, through to products, through to courses, through to NDIS. And I think just, for me to be able to sleep at night, we need to be kind of doing a few different things and accessing different funding, and have a few different offers, because a more resilient business is going to allow for more flexible terms, I guess, in regards to leave. So I think if from an employee perspective, if you are looking at leave, I think really taking into consideration, the size of the business, because a small business, like for me, I've got 3 full-timers. One of those goes away, that takes a third of my revenue.
Mm.
That's massive when you're paying rent and insurances and admin wages. Like that takes a big dent. So uh, I think, coming up with solutions, and my girls are really good with this, like coming up with solutions on, how we can manage leave, and who's going to be able to see the clients, if anyone, and just coming with some solutions and some strategies, I think is a really solid way to approach leave.
Mm. Well, that's how we've always said to have discussions, right? You come with solutions, not just problems. Think
Yeah.
through things. And I guess the leave there is so you can be proactive in taking vacations and knowing what you're doing and planning around public holidays. There's so many posts on Instagram that it's like, take 2 days of annual leave and you get 10, at certain times of the year. So it's
Yeah.
being strategic with your leave and how you can use it. So you don't need to take unpaid leave as well. Um, I
I think
think,
that's a valid point even for a business owner. Like when I
yeah.
looked at that Easter and Zach
Mm,
week this year, and everyone was going away, I was like, oh, why did I not go away? Like that, it's not like when you have your own business, you don't necessarily, take annual leave or whatever, but it's still times in which your business is closed, because that's for me when my business is closed, public holidays, Christmas, Easter, that's when I feel like I truly can have a break. So I think it's, there's a bit of a mindset flipped there too. Like, yes, it's expensive for public holidays, but if you can flip that to, oh, that is my one opportunity to actually switch off because no one's working.
exactly. And in some regards, you need to be proactive with your leave and your health like that. And you don't get to the point where you're like, oh, I need a holiday, like I should have done this. You need to be intentional and go, okay, like for me, we need to have a mini break once a quarter just to maintain our mental health and our balance and our physical health. So, it's being proactive and using your leave that way and mapping it out. And so we do map it out at Speak About with our team as well. So everyone knows what's happening. The only probably exceptions with unpaid leave that we would have is the length of employment. So we do give benefits to people who have been with us for, 3 or 4 years. So we've had a couple of girls that have been with us for 4 years and we've gone, yep, you can take unpaid leave because you've had a length of time with us. There's not sort of a hard and fast around that, but we do honor people's loyalty and we do look at that in the company. And then obviously there's exceptions. Say someone's getting married and they're having a honeymoon. We're not going to say, no, you can't go on your honeymoon. So we do then in those exceptions allow unpaid leave. But because we do have exceptions like around that length of employment and, if it's your honeymoon or something, really important to you, then we can't then just grant unpaid leave to someone who's like, I just want to go to Bali for a week for no
Mm.
reason. So that's where as well you've got a balance. Like obviously as a business owner, we do then have a little bit there.
Yeah.
but it's for people where it is justified. But then it's helpful to know as an employee, I guess, just that process because you don't want to feel like you're unfairly treated or hard done by.
You
Um,
also want to be able to take leave. Like we all
yes,
want to be able to take leave.
yes, yes. So you take your annual leave. You
Yeah.
take your annual leave, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think as well in any business, it's important that you have a consistent person to speak to.
Mm.
So around leave or your or contract or award, in our business, you go and speak to Michael, my husband. So, in your businesses, you speak to you. So it's important that you have a consistent allocated person that you can speak to any HR issues, contract issues about, so that the advice is consistent, the information is consistent, and you feel like you're getting the relationship with someone to build to have these conversations because they can be hard for people. We will drop the links to both of the awards below. And we hope that that's given you a little bit of food for thought about leave and your awards and your entitlements. And hopefully that you just feel really empowered and educated and keen and curious to learn a bit more about these things. As always, have honest, open conversations with your employers and don't be afraid, I guess, to ask and to be open to others' opinions in negotiation, I think. Um, leave is not the be all and end all. Leave is just one component of your job. Like Lizzy said, we have culture, we have values, we have what you're doing at work, and you should feel passionate about what you're doing, and you should feel really happy being in your workplace and supported. So that's the main thing. As always, if you have any questions, send us a DM. Until next time, we hope you have a lovely week, and we'll chat to you soon.
Bye.